Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to the latest episode of System Link, our combined podcast and gameplay stream. And as always, I'm joined by Mike Hazelton from the Xbox Guide. Mike, thank you once again for jumping in to the latest episode of our jolly show. How are you doing this evening?
Hey, yeah, pretty good. Looking forward to this. Missed a week last week. There's been some big releases that have come out, so yeah, looking forward to talking about it.
Yeah, we talk a lot, don't we, about how often, because we do this on the Wednesday, often that Tuesday before, right before we're about to, put together our itinerary for each episode, something big drops, something often happens. It seems to be that each week we've done an episode of System Link, there's been something we've had to kind of cobble together and throw into our planning, and so much so in this case, having that week off does make a big difference in terms of what we're able to talk about. And obviously it's been not only a busy week in the last, these last 7 days since we went live, but also just looking ahead. We've got the Xbox Showcase on June 9th, plus we're entering that E3 season of various sort of live shows. We've got Summer Games Fest and various indie showcases, IGN Live. So we're going to have plenty to be talking about here on System Link over the next few days and weeks ahead. So just very quickly before we dive in, I know we've got quite a big plan for tonight's show. What have you been playing lately? It's something I realised I haven't actually asked you ever when we've started any of these shows. So what's been ticking boxes?
Yeah, good question. So Tuesday last week we had Hellblade and xDefiant launch, which we were going to talk about on Wednesday if we'd had the show. So I played quite a lot of Hellblade. I think I must be about halfway through. We're going to come on to Hellblade, so I won't go into it too much. But that's been good.
Nice.
Playing like an hour a night, or like a kind of a section of the game a night. Little Kitty Big City, which is really good fun.
Game Pass fun.
Definitely,
nice.
Yeah, definitely recommend that. Very like throwaway, but me and the kids have been playing it, so it's like a nice family game. And then just the last couple of days, been trying 33 Immortals. So again, we'll come on to that, but
Yeah, lovely.
really looking forward to playing that with a co-op partner as opposed to
Yeah,
just
for sure.
with randos. So.
Which, I mean, so much of that game is built around the idea of connecting with, you know, that large squad of people you get randomly matched with to take on larger bosses. But there is something to be said for then having your own little party and own little group within that. It's something very satisfying always. We've often talked about, haven't we, how like games generally, no matter how average, bad or great they are, co-op does elevate them to some degree. Whether they then become essential or not, you know, is still then up for debate. But having that partner with you that's not just an AI squaddo is always a treat, I think.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it so far, and it works very well. It's quite a simple game, so not having to talk to the other people that you're kind of playing with works pretty well. But there's certain things where having someone that you are talking to, I think, will really make quite a big difference. So yeah, looking forward to trying that out.
Well,
what have you been playing?
So I've actually, in a very, very similar way, I made Hellblade 2 my primary focus. I'm trying very much, even though I've long since made peace with my forever backlog that I have. I just have so many games that I need to play across, you know, all the various platforms. But trying very much to have that kind of singular focus. If I'm playing a single player game myself, I'm not online with anyone, then I'm just playing that game until I either complete it or I've had my fill of it, really. And Hellblade 2 has certainly been that. I wanted to be in the conversation. I wanted to make sure I played it, not inevitably 6 months from now. I wanted to make sure that I'd had it, you know, on launch week and have been continuing to play it. I think you'll be a little bit further ahead than me, but certainly played enough for us to be able to dive in and discuss it later on in today's episode.
Where are you up to, out of interest, without any big spoilers?
So you mentioned about sort of, you know, you were always kind of dividing up your playtime by achievements, by chapters. So every time you box that off, I think I've just finished the second of those sequences.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I'm only on maybe I've done the third one. I'm just at like the start of the fourth section.
Oh, fine. So a very similar sort of point then in that case.
Yeah.
So that's been really, really, really interesting. I think there'll be a lot for us to unpack there, particularly when we're also looking at some of the stats on it as well. We'll get to that. We'll get into that a bit later. But we wanted to kick off tonight. Kind of our first main discussion point was the other game I've been playing, and something that I know we'd played previously in when it was in open beta, was Ubisoft's xDefiant. Which, for anyone that doesn't know, that is their Call of Duty-esque first-person shooter that unifies their various IPs. So you have Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell, Far Cry, Watch Dogs, all represented within there, either through character customization or different classes and abilities. But it's very, very akin to, I actually feel more like last gen COD, kind of the Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3, the original trio of games. It's closer to that in terms of feel than any of the sort of more modern CODs. Something I can definitely speak to as a sort of initial positive from my time with it has been the map design. That's definitely something that I have massively preferred over the recent Call of Duty efforts because of it being much simpler. It's got that 3-lane combat that I think always works traditionally so well for Call of Duty. And it's avoided the cubbyhole, lots of intricate places to hide and 18 different places you need to try and account for and cover as you're moving through, which the modern Call of Duties have really, I think, really struggled with. I think their maps have become so intricate that you basically can get shot from anywhere, which is quite a frustrating experience. So that's definitely something I can speak to as a positive with this. It runs well. I haven't had any particular issues yet, and obviously with it being free to play, it's a nice sort of low barrier of entry. There's obviously a big old but to this, which is that having spent now several hours with it, I do feel that it is exceedingly derivative, completely lacking in its own real identity. So as much as it's obviously nice to have an alternative to Call of Duty, I do think it's so beholden to that template, and particularly in the game modes. I think the weakest part of the game has been the game modes they've offered on launch are just sort of variations of capturing points and escorting objectives. They're kind of just what you'd expect from any Call of Duty copy or previous version. So as much as I think it's nice to have that another free-to-play game enter the space and try and capture a bit of market share, it is I've become quite quickly disengaged with it, I think, because it is quite derivative and lacking sort of its own identity in many ways. Largely, I think, due to the game modes being very samey.
You wonder who it's really trying to appeal to, because if you're engaged with Call of Duty already, and tied to it because of the microtransactions or XP or whatever, and you're kind of locked into that, you're not probably going to break away to play xDefiant. So it's kind of for people that are disillusioned with Call of Duty, which there are a lot of people, but then to have basically just copied Call of Duty isn't really what those people will want. I mean, I've heard some people saying it's like an old, like Call of Duty from 10 years ago, which, you know, maybe makes it a bit more appealing to me. But I don't know what you think on that. Is it kind of what I would want is Call of Duty before all the crazy customization, and all the kind of started going over the top down that route.
Yeah,
and I also think they increase the speed and the kind of movement in Call of Duty quite a lot.
It's definitely, I think xDefiant is more akin to that original Modern Warfare trilogy. I think it's closer to that, with maybe some of the abilities and equipment that started to be introduced in the Black Ops games that we saw over time. It doesn't quite go full advanced warfare with like wall running and like drone, and it's not quite there. But and actually, to be fair, there isn't. It's quite streamlined. There's no kill streaks. There's no sort of like egregious power ups that you can get that break the balance. There are character specific abilities that are on a cooldown that you can use, and they're fairly self-explanatory. There's a healing item, there's an intel suit depending on the class you pick, but they don't tend to come up hugely in gameplay, as in terms of like it being really in your face and affecting your enjoyment of it. I do feel like sometimes if you have someone that's doing well in a COD multiplayer game, yes, you want to reward that, but then they become so overpowered that everyone else just has a miserable time. So I don't have any issue with kind of seeing the back of that, of kill streaks and that kind of thing, something like this. But it's certainly closer to Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Maybe Modern Warfare 2 is probably the closest match to it in its original form, not the Infinity Ward remake that we've seen over the last few years. But yeah, it's kind of harkening back to that feel. It's definitely, I think, to kind of another aspect of the map design that I think works so well is it is also much better designed in terms of cover and within those lanes. So very rarely am I caught out of cover. It often will be because I've chosen just to run. However, then the devil's advocate to that is I think so much of it does feel so throwaway, you do end up just kind of almost corpse on the piling it and just kind of running in.
It's so fast. I mean, I know Call of Duty is as well, but you like the video that was playing, it's just so fast.
Yeah, particularly, I think.
Puts me off.
Yes. Yeah, I can understand that. I don't think it's going to be very welcoming to new players either. I think if you're in now, I think you come in at the right time, but I don't see it being something that's very particularly accessible, especially if you're someone that tends to avoid those very fast-paced, very Twitch reaction shooters. It's certainly not catering, I don't think it's trying to capture that audience. I think it's shooting specifically for people that are playing COD and, like you said, are a little bit disillusioned with it.
Yeah, I was thinking it's a good time to release, because it's obviously not going up against COD particularly. But then in a few months' time, when COD comes out, I think it's going to struggle, perhaps, especially as we'll get onto if COD's on Game Pass, going to probably get maybe the most people ever playing a Call of Duty game. It's going to take some of its audience away unless they've got some really engaging season or however they're doing it. So it'll be interesting to see.
Well, yeah, so they have confirmed it is going to be the sort of traditional seasonal update model, because you can see in its battle pass that it has like 55 days remaining, so they're very much following that cadence of updates. I think in some ways it actually reminds me of is it, oh my god, I think I've just forgotten that. Is it Splitgate? Was that the game we played with the Portals? Have I got that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Okay. That was a nearly embarrassing mistake to make live. So I think is it very akin to that, which is that came out several months before Infinite, and it just captured, I think, a really great moment in that at that time. when there wasn't really anything that was like that, and people were perhaps, I think in the case of Splitgate, that found a more positive response because people were very nostalgic for the Halo 2, Halo 3 era of that franchise. So Splitgate came in just at the right time and really captured the attention in a meaningful way. I think xDefiant's problem is that because it doesn't have, unlike Splitgate, which had its very unique mechanic that separated it from Halo, xDefiant I don't think really has that. I think having just character classes with abilities and then game modes that are like escort the thing or capture the area, there isn't really anything that I could point to say, oh, that's the thing that xDefiant is doing differently.
I think Splitgate did die relatively quickly, as far as I know. I don't know if it was linked to Halo or if they messed around with some stuff with the gameplay. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It does raise the question of if all the Call of Duty games come to Game Pass, and maybe there's a bit more of a life in some of the old games, whether there is a place for, I don't know, almost the community focusing on one of the like legacy titles in the series and trying to get a community going around it again. Because to be honest, that would be preferable for me. I remember when they re-released Modern Warfare 1, in like a terrible, was it Xbox 360?
That's right.
Or Xbox One re-release, and it was like fewer players than the original. The maps, there were less maps. It was just they phoned it in basically, which was a big shame. It would be nice if Microsoft could get behind something like that in one of the classic titles, because I think that would almost kill xDefiant if they picked, like you say, Modern Warfare 2, kind of re-released it cheap, fixed it up a bit, polished it up a bit, and tried to get a community around it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they have a real opportunity now, given what we're now seeing with I think, Black Ops coming to Game Pass is earlier, I think, than we expected. I don't think people were thinking it was going to be this year's Call of Duty that came to the console because of possible exclusivity deals elsewhere. But I also think there is a real window here for them to leverage that back catalogue, and that would, I think, really capture some attention. I can't wait to see what, and we'll get into this more a bit later, but, what Game Pass subscribers look like, but also like player counts in this new Black Ops and engagement with previous titles, and seeing how those needles are moved, because that then is encouraging microtransaction purchases. And I do think it's going to be a very interesting thing for us to look back on in 2025. So much of this year, and where xDefiant is, where games like the Finals are going to sit within this, because I don't think the Finals has like blown up in a huge way, but I do think that game has the quality, that has a unique identity. It's why I think it connected with us so well. So it's seeing where all those things are going to play out.
Is it Nexon that own Embark, or a major shareholders? I think it's currently missing their expectations. The Finals, which is a concern. I wonder what will happen with like I said, I think Black Ops 6 will have the most Call of Duty players ever. Like, it will be a failure if it doesn't beat all previous records, given it's on Game Pass. It'll be interesting to see if we go up from there in the future, or if it starts to go down. If this is the peak, when it's basically available to everyone, PlayStation fans are still really heavily engaged with it. Whether it being an Xbox product will kind of start to because it might put off some of the hardcore PlayStation fans, it being an Xbox game. Probably not many, but it won't take much to reduce from this peak that we'll see this year, I think.
Certainly a very interesting time, isn't it, for us now, going into not just this sort of the E3 season of showcases, but seeing what's going to come from all of these big decisions that have been made about the release cadence for these games, when they're being brought out, but also having stuff on Game Pass, and how that's going to affect games like xDefiant. For me personally, when I did my review on thatHITBOX, I think I settled on a nah. I settled on a I don't think it's worth it. I added the but to it, which was that if you are someone that's frustrated by Call of Duty's map design, and you're looking something that is akin to those last gen experiences, it definitely ticks those boxes for you. So I think there is something to be excited. I played it for a good 4 or 5 hours, I think, before realizing it wasn't ultimately going to be my cup of tea, but certainly kept me invested enough to unlock a couple of guns and experiment with a couple of classes. So yeah, I think there'll certainly be some work to do. I think mainly in the game modes. If they could come up with something that was perhaps a little bit more closely tied to the franchises that they're trying to leverage, be so interesting if they created something that was perhaps, I was thinking something to do with Far Cry, having sort of like areas of a map to liberate, and that you then had to, there was like almost like a dynamic push and pull within that, a bit sort of Conquest style. I don't know whether there might be something there that would make it feel a little bit more unique to the franchises they're trying to include.
Yeah, I think this is. There are a couple of things. Obviously, it's free, so people, you might as well just try it and see how you get on with it. But I was wondering whether, because we're going to get onto how it's done versus Hellblade, not obviously massively different games, but just in terms of they released on the same day, so you can kind of look at hours played and things. Do you think it will have cost them more to make xDefiant than Hellblade 2?
Oh, interesting question.
Because obviously making a tight and like stable multiplayer FPS is probably quite difficult. So yeah, it was from the point of view of what do they need to see back from xDefiant, I guess.
Interesting. I don't think xDefiant would have cost more than Hellblade 2. I think Hellblade 2, given the amount of investment required in the motion capture tech and the upgrade in that sense, they're also using Unreal Engine 5 for the first time, whereas I believe xDefiant was already using Snowdrop, which is the engine they use for the Division game, so they're very familiar with it. It was using Ubisoft Studios and IP and character designs that had already been made, so I think a lot of the work had been done. I recognise some of the maps too. I recognise certain areas from them.
Oh, yeah.
So I think there's an element of sort of not they definitely have been reconfigured with cover and 3 lanes, but I think there was some quite smart usage of existing assets, and certainly from a design standpoint, I don't think it would have been nearly as a financially demanding or as long a development cycle either. I agree though that there's definitely a unique challenge that comes with making that very responsive, very fast-paced shooter, especially multiplayer only without a campaign. But then the lack of campaign would have then pared that experience down. So no, I think xDefiant will have a much lower break-even than something like Hellblade.
Yeah. I think it's a shame when they've gone to the trouble of making this really tight, because the shooting looks like it would feel good. I haven't played it, but it looks
and it
like
does,
it
by the
good.
way. I should say that mechanically it does feel that way.
It's a shame to then not do something more original with it, like you're saying. If they're essentially just doing something derivative, and they've gone to all this effort to make something that probably plays almost as good as COD, but not really putting their own spin on it, which is disappointing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, given where I've kind of left it, I think it's certainly a game that in some ways makes me think of something like Sea of Thieves. It's something where like 6 months from now, they do an update, something gets added where I think, oh, that's an interesting spin. I do think a good game mode will get me back. A good game mode will get me back into that. Because I've also seen how the Finals is one of those rare shooters that I don't just play the normal game mode. I've played Terminal Attack, I've played Power Shift. They've added some really interesting, not particularly like crazy original ideas necessarily, but they've built it and configured it really cleverly within the world and the lore that they're creating there. So I don't think it would take too much for xDefiant to maybe want to check it out again, especially because, like we've already acknowledged, the shooting does feel good. So, which obviously now, as you mentioned, it came out on the same day, we have both been playing Hellblade 2. I know we alluded to its current playtime and Steam sales, which are looking quite, I would say, concerning. I think we should kick off with this, really, because it's relevant. You had an interesting theory that I know we talked about off air, which was the idea that because it's a generally shorter game, people might have been blasting through it quicker, and therefore they're putting less hours into it per player, and affecting that statistic. And yeah,
I think there's a couple of things. Like I've played probably 3 hours, I think, if that. and I'm like completely comfortable with that. I'm not rationing it. I know it's a short game, but it's just for my free time. It's just that's how it works for me. Is playing like three sessions a week of like under an hour each probably is realistic for me. There's people that have blasted through it in I think 5 hours is unrealistic, but like 6-7 hours. And then if you have xDefiant, you said you've done 4 or 5 hours on xDefiant in a week, because I think like an addictive FPS, you're trying to get XP and unlock guns and stuff. I think you're more likely to get engrossed in that, like because it's a multiplayer game, and like lose multiple hours of that. When I was playing Hellblade, I actually was almost relieved when I stopped playing, not because it's not a good game, but because of the tone and the nature of the story, and the combat isn't actually like it's good, but it's not super satisfying. I don't think there's something about the combat that once I've done a battle, it's like I need to have a rest almost. It just takes a lot out of you. So I think there's two things. There's people that have blasted through it, and then there's maybe people that are taking their time with it. So it'd be interesting to see if, like, after next week, because at the moment I think it's 23rd in the most played charts, which is pretty poor. Whether that will increase or will it decrease? Will everyone have blasted through it in this first week? Well, I think we'll find out pretty quickly. In terms of paid numbers on Xbox, they're okay. I think it was in the top 20.
Okay. But you'd expect that to be low, though, wouldn't you? Because of the Game Pass
inclusion. Yeah, exactly. It's unusual to have anything Game Pass in the top of that list. Steam sales, it's a similar sort of thing. When it's on Game Pass on PC, do you really expect it to sell many on?
Well, yeah, and actually, something I wanted to ask you actually is that because I know obviously what you're working on with the Xbox guide includes, a lot of these, pulling in a lot of these stats and presenting them in an accessible way. Does that most played chart, top paid chart, is that just Xbox console, or does that include any of the PC? Say, like through Game Pass, like the Game Pass app on PC, does that include that information, or is that just Xbox?
Good question. As far as I know, it's just Xbox.
That would make sense because it would chart from there. I just was curious if that, because that's a big chunk, I think, of the player base that I do think this is a very like PC gamer. I want to benchmark my setup kind of title. Yeah. So I think there's definitely like Big Manny just weighing in there saying, from what I'm seeing, it looks really cool. I think that's certainly, looking at this footage here, this is from that extended reveal trailer back at the Game Awards. This, it looks like this in gameplay. I mean, this was not misrepresented in any way. There's been no downgrade. This is what the game looks like. And I do think that would attract a PC audience for that reason.
I saw Digital Foundry did a side-by-side with this, and it was pretty much the same, except for the flames were slightly different. But it's literally a scene from the game. I haven't got to it yet, but it certainly looks incredible. Gameplay-wise, I think I haven't played Hellblade 1 recently, but my memory of Hellblade 1, I think I preferred the gameplay, to be honest, slightly. I think they're very similar, but I don't know if just my expectations were lower with Hellblade 1 because it was an indie game. And they're obviously massively high because this is at least a AA first party release, just very linear, so you have to kind of be okay with that, and normally these massively linear games are not coming out of big first party studios. They're coming from indies, and they're almost like art projects that get released on consoles.
I was trying to explain it to a friend of mine, and I sort of said this is more like playing an experience. I think it has gameplay. It certainly has, like, you're not just completely on rails, but it does feel more like a narrative experience of a game rather than something where you're openly exploring sandbox areas or anything like that. It's interesting you mentioned about the combat, because I actually really like the feel of it. I like the sort of the light heavy, the parry, the dodge. I think that those mechanics are really clean and really simple. The part of the combat that I don't think works so well is often the repeated animations from enemies. You see a lot of similar, and given how heavy it feels, and when you land, certainly when you get those great execution animations when you take an enemy out, I haven't had many of those, if any, repeat so far. It's enemy reaction animation, or when they're slowly walking towards you, that does take something that it takes me out of it a little bit, because it feels very gamey in that sense, when everything else has gone to such great lengths to feel cinematic and very bespoke. A lot of those animations do, I think, become a little bit stilted and repetitive, and not from Senua, not from the main player character, but from enemy AI that you're playing against.
I think I have the difficulty on dynamic. I think there's two options. Dynamic is basically where it gives you a hand if you're struggling. And I think in combat, if like you hit the enemy and then they hit you, it kind of wipes out the fact that you did any damage to them at all. So if you keep trading blows, then you'll see every time you hit them, there'll be the same animation, because I think they've mocapped every enemy type. So if there's like a class of enemy that you see a few times, which I think that there are, then they'll have their own set of animations. But I think it means when there's like a distinctive enemy, like there's one kind of the boss on the beach section at the start.
Yes.
He was the one where I really started to notice a repeating animations for the first time.
I noticed it less with the goons you kind of fight as you.
So I think you kill them quite quickly.
Yeah,
it was because it was with him. It was a bit of a slog to kill him, and so you end up, trading blows, and I think it's kind of the downside of them putting so much emphasis on everything being motion captured and potentially doing it for every single enemy in the game, because they can only have so many. That was the one that stood out, and it gets less. Yeah. It's less noticeable from after that point for me in the game. It got less noticeable. I think maybe that character just needed an extra couple of options potentially. It stood out like a sore thumb.
Now I know that when we were talking initially, I was sharing kind of my thoughts privately with you about just my first sort of half an hour with it. I've initially, thinking about the audio and the voiceover, I thought it was overused a little bit. I thought the just for anyone that's not played the first game or hasn't played this, you hear Senua's inner thoughts with 3D audio, especially effective when you're wearing headphones, that are sort of reflections of her psyche and her mental state, what she's thinking, what she's feeling, and this happens a lot throughout the gameplay. And initially, when I spoke to you about it, I felt it was a bit sort of relied upon too heavily. It was kind of used a bit too frequently, and I think the further in I got, when I got to the end of that second chapter, there'd been key moments where they'd been quite restrained and they pulled back on that. I then found myself missing it. I found myself going, actually, that they were really effective. That sort of this idea of a character sharing an inner monologue, but not doing it as like here's a tutorial tooltip. It was them genuinely speaking to their emotional state. I really like it now. I think I've turned around on that. So that's been a bit of a flip for me. It will be interesting to see whether I still feel the same. I feel a bit flip-floppy on that, but it'd be interesting if I still feel the same by the time the credits roll. But I think it was the sequence. It's not a huge spoiler, but there's a sequence in an overturned boat when you're making your way through it early on the beach, and you start to some water starts flooding in, and there was some great one-liners in there from the voiceover. Really found that very effective, and I think that was where I started to turn around on it.
Yeah, I liked it in the first game. I like it in this one. I think the beach level just wasn't great. In my opinion, it was fine, but it's quite restrictive even in a linear game. When you get to, I think it's the second level, you get to the village, and that's where it completely changed my opinion of the game. I wasn't negative on the game, but I was kind of neutral to whatever good. And then that village where the voices are going quite crazy because it's stirring up a lot of memories for Senua, was really good, and it's kind of just I think that's improved.
Is that village sequence where you've just defeated that first boss and you're walking him initially through it?
Yeah, you leave him outside and then you go. Yeah,
I was actually, given everything we'd seen from all of the advertising and demos, etc., it was a really lovely visual change as well. It was so nice to see them not relying on dark areas to look good, that they still retained that very crisp quality but in a visually distinct area. And that was a welcome change, I think, too. I'm hoping that we continue to see that throughout the game.
Yeah, I mean, graphically, it's just it's incredible. The texture detail is the main thing for me. Definitely the the character animation and the
Sure.
cutscenes, which aren't cutscenes, are incredible. But there have been games that have done very, very high quality cutscenes, like in-engine cutscenes. It's the gameplay, the fact that from the cutscene to the gameplay, it's the same quality is what's so impressive to me.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, there's decent variety, like you say.
Yeah, and I think, well, let's get into this because we kind of alluded to it a bit about playtime and where that's going to look like ahead. But we're just coming off the back of Tango Gameworks, Arcane Austin, and 2 other Bethesda studios. I want to say Roundhouse and I want to say Mad Dog. I might have got that wrong. Apologies if I've now misnamed those. But 4 Bethesda teams just got shut down, and Hi-Fi Rush's developer Tango was the most egregious. We saw them produce a critically acclaimed, well-reviewed, and commercially successful game, 3 million players. Plug socket, evening. And they were shut down. And there was, I think, a logical outcry from people sort of saying, well, what did they need to do? They just leveraged this brand new IP. It was well received. It was arguably Xbox's best title last year, and really the one thing that propped up their first-party releases. Now, should we be worried for Ninja Theory if this doesn't find a meaningful player base because it's not getting a physical release, it's digital only, it's on Game Pass day 1? Should we be worried about Ninja Theory, or do we think this is a Rare got a new barn situation, we can let Everwild cook? We've invested so heavily in Rare, we've invested so heavily in Ninja Theory. Shinji Mikami left Tango, and could that have been the death knell for them? There's a lot of unknowns here. Do we think that Ninja Theory are on the bubble, or are they safe?
I think they're safe. It's kind of come out that they're already working on the 3rd game in the series.
Nice.
So obviously, you have to take it with a pinch of salt, but I think it makes
reasonable
sense. You would think they could release that within at least 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
They could have that out the door, because they're not going to be needing to port to a new engine or anything like that. I think it's extremely likely that it will come to PS5. 12 months or less, probably, especially given it's a shorter game. The numbers are going to drop off straight away. Revenue is going to drop off immediately. So I think we'll see it on PlayStation. I don't think anyone should be surprised at that, because like you've told me a couple of times, it was PlayStation exclusive originally, the first game. So
there's precedent for that, right? Also, good evening, Chris. Nice for you to jump in as well. Plug socket just dropping in. Realism. Yeah, I mean, you look at this thing, it is pretty remarkable, I think, what they've been able to achieve. And I do think you said about that release cadence for the next one, if they are indeed working on a Hellblade 3, I could see this being a next-gen launch title. This is the kind of game I think you would want as a launch title. It feels actually more like a launch title. Very short, technical showpiece from a proven developer. So I think we could see that.
And I think what you said with Tango, I think the leadership leaving is something that they've said in the past is a reason they've shut studios. Mm-hmm. So I think it could have been that. And also with Arcane, they were saying, or they weren't saying, it's been rumored that they wanted to make another Dishonored game or a similar Dishonored game that was going to take some more work rather than just making Hi-Fi. Well, I think Tango did want to do Hi-Fi Rush 2, but rather than just making something quick and easy to get some money in the door, they were looking to build something big, which potentially.
Well, off the back of that, actually, let's look at that as well, because not to undermine my own point, but the initiative bled talent and leadership, and one of them, actually, I forget his name, but one of them went back to Insomniac and is now a senior developer over there, which has then since been bought by Sony. However, with the initiative, I feel like, again, with the amount of investment they put into it, they've got Crystal Dynamics now helping them out with Perfect Dark. It's almost like that is another example of how they put so much investment in there, they need to see some kind of return and payoff. Now they also have the investment in Activision and that money to recoup. So, just going back to chat, Plugsocket mentioning, of course, a hypothetical Ninja Theory launch title would be history repeating itself with Heavenly Sword. I forget, of course. That's
Heavenly Sword. That looked so good when it came out.
Fantastic game, right? Which is interesting too when you look at the gameplay of that and how mechanically interesting that was. They have moved away from that a little bit with this new Hellblade titles. So I'm wondering if Hellblade 3 will see a kind of melding of the first Hellblade and maybe harkening back to their older titles, because that'd be nice to see. Chris also clocking as well, just really quickly, sorry, Chris also clocking that we're now 46 followers, so yeah, so no, 4 more till affiliate. We are so close, we're on the cusp, and 4 more until another requirement is met in my server for the 3-month Nitro giveaway. So nice, yeah, we're getting there, we're ticking some boxes, we've got just 4 more to go, and then we'll hopefully be shooting for that affiliate. Sorry Mike, go on, what were you going to say?
Just you wonder if, because obviously they've it's using Unreal Engine 5, so you wonder if that was like the big ask for this game was putting it in that engine, and it took quite a lot of work, so they didn't want to push the boat out too much, and they kind of kept it as similar as possible to the first game, because it's very, very similar gameplay wise. It'd be nice to think in the third game we might get a bit more, them flexing their muscles a bit more, especially on the combat side, because the combat, it does feel satisfying, and like you say, the parry and the dodge and things work nicely. But considering the pedigree of the studio, it's quite limited.
Yeah, I think that the absence of any kind of weapon switching or using any kind of equipment or other moves, etc. There's no real sort of melee option. Yeah. Everything is all done with weaponry. I think that would be there's a lot of nuance that could be added there very easily. Plugsocket, I've heavily sought elements of the weapon switching are similar to the Devil May Cry reboot. Interesting. And yeah, you're absolutely right. When it was, given that it was a PS3 launch title at a time when the PS3 was very much struggling with its early library, it was a consistent win for them and a great title. I'm actually surprised that Ninja Theory weren't snapped up by PlayStation, that Xbox beat them to it. I always thought that they'd end up.
I didn't know that it sold that well though. I seem to remember it maybe underperforming, but it was reviewed quite well.
Yeah, which is the kind of thing I think historically PlayStation have gone for. We've seen them purchase very small teams or teams that maybe haven't sold a huge amount of copies of their titles, or in some cases not actually release anything at all. They sort of buy them on the promise of what they represent. Yeah. So it's interesting, I think, that Xbox nabbed them at the time that they did, and hopefully we'll see that start to pay off. I think I would love to see some kind of transparency, some information about player numbers at a time when so much of the discourse is questioning Game Pass as a business model, and I think it would be a really great way for them to come out and say, well, actually, look, the metric that matters to us, which is player engagement in our platform, Hellblade 2 has done this. I'm not saying it's done great or stratospheric numbers, but it has certainly justified the investment we've placed in the studio, and I would hope that they would continue to be supported by Xbox, and we're going to see more from them. I just would love to see that. I'd love to see certainly seeing those most played charts. I think it's going to be very interesting over the next few weeks.
Well, I noticed that True Achievements, the True Achievements website, published their most played list, and it was third, I think, in their list.
I saw that. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I'd forgotten about that, but I'd seen that too. Yeah.
Which is interesting, because I think so the way theirs works is everyone who's signed up for True Achievements, which I think I probably did back in the day on Xbox 360. So they're probably rinsing my gamer tags, games played and stuff. But obviously it won't include the casual people who don't, who wouldn't have signed up for True Achievements. It's only a certain very particular subset of the audience that would be interested in that. So it suggests that potentially the core audience is quite engaged with it, but it's not maybe cutting through, which I think it's not the sort of game that would cut through.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of, I think, the discourse has been quite disingenuous, sort of people saying, well, why hasn't Hellblade been a system seller? And I don't know if it ever was. I don't think that was ever really on the cards for this game. It was supposed to be feeding Game Pass in a way that we haven't seen that sort of very visual showpiece from an Xbox Studios title in a long time. Yes, we've seen some artistic and interesting takes with things like Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush, but not that sort of Horizon, Zero Dawn, God of War competing on a visual standpoint. We haven't seen that.
They didn't advertise it in a way that it would have broken, but it's good enough, like in a cinematic way, that it could have been on like BBC News and stuff. Like, look at this incredible like lifelike game, and tried to cut through to the mainstream a bit. I'm surprised they didn't push a bit harder with that. I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity. It was never, you're never going to get like families playing. Obviously, it's not that sort of game. But I think it could have. Like there were news articles about Helldivers, how well Helldivers was doing and stuff, because it was kind of going viral in how good it was. And I think you could have tried to capture some of that,
to push for a bit of that.
With
Well, I do think the lack of a physical release also didn't help it either. There was that then meant that game stores, certainly in the UK or anywhere, really didn't have any reason to be pushing advertising for it, because there was nothing for them to sell other than a digital card. Much like Grounded, now that has had its multi-platform port, which has now had through limited run games, a physical release. I would not be surprised if we see a Hellblade 2 for PS5 a year from now that gets a limited run or similar physical release, some kind of special edition that might help recoup some of those costs. I do think that, but then again, that's the model, isn't it? That's the model they're shooting for, is that I think Hellblade 2 is more about serving their core fan base. You mentioned the true achievements, people that have engaged with it. I think it was serving existing subscriptions. Things like Call of Duty and Game Pass, I think, are the thing that's hopefully going to open the door and bring new people in. And that is a tricky balance that they have to strike there, between trying to attract new subscriptions versus satiating your existing audience, because there has to be an element of retention. I don't think that gets talked about enough, is that they've hit this great metric, this 34 million subs, but you've got to retain the people that have got you there. Without that, people's subs are going to lapse. They're going to see there's not a regular cadence of stuff coming in, not enough high quality titles being added, and therefore they're more likely to drop out.
Yeah, I was thinking in my mind, like, do they need first party stuff to do that, or can they do it with third party? But I think the problem is people get to the end of the year. I do it myself, or when I haven't got any money, I'm thinking, what have I actually played on Game Pass? Am I getting value for money? And you, as well as the like third party stuff, you do think, well, I've played Hellblade, I've played Starfield, I've played Forza, I've played Halo. I think if they were starting to sacrifice first party stuff, because is it a good return? It's probably not a good return on their investment. I don't think they'll make their money back on Hellblade, but from a like PR point of view, and from like a consumers being happy with your service point of view, I think it's so important that they have.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. That metric is the thing that isn't talked about enough, which is satisfying your core fan base that have already bought in. They bought the Series X. It's being outsold 2-1 by PlayStation right now, and Switch obviously is just stratospheric numbers. They are targeting those people that have gone, yes, we believe in this, we want to be part of this ecosystem. They're the ones, I think, that are getting the greatest benefit from a game like Hellblade. And you would then hope that those meaningful third-party partnerships, or getting stuff like, we're going to be playing it later tonight, stuff like 33 Immortals, having a game like that on Game Pass is a great way, again, between the indies and the first-party big AAA releases. It's a great way to retain subscribers, not necessarily grow it. Or make it just about growth. I think growth has to be alongside sustainability at all times for this to become something that is a proven success. Interesting. Plugstock coming in mentioning the Bendy series. Ink Machine had a physical release in 2018. Sold 14,000 players. Dark Revival, however, was digital only around 1,500 players. So yeah, that's an interesting case study for digital versus physical. I think give people the choice. I think we've seen it time and again. I was so disappointed that Alan Wake 2 didn't get a physical release, and Epic and Remedy themselves have said that still hasn't quite recouped their development costs. I don't know whether a physical release would have pushed that over the edge, but you make some crazy £100 special edition, you're making there's a greater return on those collector's editions with people that are obviously ready and willing to invest. So I do think they're missing a trick. I think we're pushing a little too hard to this digital only future. I think there's got to be that sort of still a place for, not just from a game preservation perspective, but for a revenue perspective. I think there's room to still have this.
I think Xbox is unfortunately so heavily digital in the split. I think it definitely, when it comes to PlayStation, it should have a physical release. Hopefully it will. But I think it's very hard for them to justify it on Xbox now.
Because it's
especially with
cloud
Game
as well,
Pass.
and Game Pass, yeah.
No one's going to be buying it at retail anyway because it's on Game Pass.
Yeah.
People aren't even buying it in the digitally in the store. So, but yeah, on PlayStation hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to take a brief pause right now just to give a quick shout out to our latest episode of Some Drivel that went up this week with the Soundlings, very talented pair of composers and musicians, Matt Naylor and Sunny Ray. They created the entire soundtrack for Knockout City. They've worked on advertising and trailers for Sega, for Sonic games, for the Quentin Tarantino movie Django Unchained. They have a prolific and extensive career, and I was very fortunate to be able to sit down and interview them for about half an hour. It's a really jolly, wholesome podcast. They were very generous with their time and great to talk to, so please consider checking that out. It's available for free on YouTube, Podbean, and Spotify. You can find us at Burly Bird Media, so please consider checking that out. We will also be back on Monday next week. On Monday with a brand new episode of Tag and Bag, my third episode featuring Jeff Steitzer. That'll be coming up on this coming Monday. Along with, hopefully, fingers crossed, with no other issues, we'll be returning with another Burly Bird Live. Not quite sure what I'm playing yet, but keep an eye on our Twitter account at Burly Bird Media for that announcement. And we're back on Mondays at 9 p.m. here at twitch.tv/Burly Bird Media. Got a lot of stuff cooking over here right now. We're keeping it real, keeping it busy. And with that in mind, we're going to continue now our System Link show discussing Call of Duty. The fact that this week it's had a very, very interesting few days. We've seen, yet again, Microsoft not be able to control their leaks, not able to control any of their messaging, and their PR just woeful. I know I sort of perhaps somewhat optimistically had said to you privately that, oh, maybe it was all part of the plan. Maybe they just did that hoping that it would be picked up. But no. If that was the case, it really would not have been then announced in a really hastily written blog post a couple, 24 hours later, that Call of Duty Black Ops 6, this year's Call of Duty, is in fact going to be launching onto Game Pass. We're going to be seeing that this November. I think I will only speak for myself on this one, but I was surprised when this year's Call of Duty was confirmed for Game Pass. I just felt like maybe I'd misunderstood some of the Activision Blizzard, the FTC rulings and all of that. I was convinced that in those court documents that came out that there was going to be a longer period of exclusivity, of it not being allowed to release on a subscription platform, and that we wouldn't be seeing legacy COD titles or even any of the new releases until 2025, 26 at the earliest. So this does feel sooner than I expected. I don't know really what that means necessarily, but I was surprised to see it so soon. Was that your take on that as well, or was this kind of meeting expectations, kind of what you expected?
To be honest, it was all a surprise to me. I was not particularly given the Bethesda closures. I wasn't expecting them to keep pushing like this with Game Pass. I thought at least it would be a new tier or something, which I think they probably could have got away with. But it's obviously good for Game Pass. It's good that they're still pushing Game Pass so heavily because it's gonna have an impact for sure. If it doesn't do something significant with Game Pass, I don't know. I don't think, given how comfortable Microsoft have been with going back on stuff that they've said, they haven't promised that Call of Duty is always going to be on Game Pass. It's just
true.
This year's Call of Duty is. I would see it more. I totally get what you're saying. From your perspective, you think it's earlier than you were expecting, but I think maybe this is the test. They're testing it this year, see what happens, and then next year's, I don't know. They have no problem disappointing their fan base.
Or like you said about turning things around, they've committed to one thing and then it turns out to be very different. There was that horrible video going around that with Matt Booty talking about, or Phil Spencer, or various sort of Xbox heads talking about the lessons they've learned about managing studios after they shut Lionhead. To let creative teams be creative, and then fast forward and Tango Gameworks gets shut. But yes, I think it's very much a critical moment for them in terms of their strategy. Will this validate their approach? I think we mentioned this earlier tonight about the player numbers engagement. We should see this be record breaking in terms of players playing. Whether that then also then converts into retained Game Pass subs and or say a revenue increase because people are more willing to maybe buy the battle pass or spend money in the store. All that revenue now obviously being captured by Xbox. They're releasing multi-plat day one as well. I'm actually very interested to see what platforms we get confirmed for this year, because as much as they've said that they will honor the 10-year deal with Nintendo to release this on Switch, inevitably a cloud version, do we see that day and date with the current and previous gen versions, or is that something we're going to see happen later? Are they gonna hold off until the next Switch, potentially next year?
Yeah, I think one of the leakers has said it's going to be Switch 2 before we see Call of Duty. But like to go back to the announcement, like the usual suspects had already said there's going to be a Game Pass announcement about COD. It's going to be on Game Pass, and then we had the Game Pass app accidentally doing the push notification too early to an article that didn't exist yet, and then we finally had the article, which, like you said, was hastily didn't give any detail. Was like 2 sentences. It's. I wish they had built it up a bit more. Even like played up to it, like teased it a bit, like suggested it wasn't coming to Game Pass, and then done like
the rug out. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. They're just so risk averse now with their marketing and PR and
such a
someone's
wasted
leaking all
opportunity.
their stuff, which is yeah. And if this was Activision, if Activision hadn't been bought by Microsoft, this stuff wouldn't have leaked, because they had a tight ship, and now they don't have a tight ship because it's going through
Xbox,
central Xbox.
Yeah. It's a very, certainly from the consumer side, it's a very exciting addition. I think just in terms of the library and what they're now proving with Game Pass. Game Pass isn't just the wait 6 months for a game that you didn't want to pay day one for and now it's come out on here. They've got meaningful big titles that will actually hopefully do both, that will retain subscribers but also bring new ones in. They need to market the shit out of this thing. I mean, I saw someone talking about, like, you coming into the Christmas season, you've got Game Pass titles like first party releases across Avowed, Flight Sim, Ara, Indiana Jones, Starfield expansion, and Black Ops, all within the last 4 months of the year. If there is not a Series X bundle with a year's Game Pass that's like branded, and it comes with like 2,000 COD points, which is the microtransaction, and they do a bundle together, that needs to be screamed about by Xbox, because that would make people consider jumping in. I don't think you bother with Series S. I think we're so close to, Microsoft potentially kicking off next gen earlier than we expect. You just push Series X, you make that the powerhouse console, you make that the lead advertising. When you see any banners for Call of Duty on a bus, I want to see an Xbox case at the front, not third, that you always used to see whenever this stuff was advertised. They've got to push it aggressively, because if they don't, they're going to yet again waste a great opportunity to capture some discourse and attention.
The other point was we were talking about offline. We were talking about what a great tactic it would have been, and it would have made the Series S bundle viable if it was next gen only, well, current gen only.
Yep.
Black Ops 6. That would have been a really smart play. Force people on PS4 to upgrade. Do you pay like whatever the Series S cost is now, and have basically the game for free because it's going to be bundled with Game Pass?
Absolutely.
And really good way to get people out.
Yeah, they have that be their secondary purchase. They're still PlayStation first. They're still planning on getting a PS5, but they want to get in next gen only with Call of Duty. I wonder if it was always, forget the Activision buyout for a minute, I wonder if it was always the plan for it to be cross-gen.
Yeah, I think that the game will have been in development before the acquisition, and also it might be part of the requirements of the deal. And there was also the stuff about you'll hopefully be able to remind me on this. Ubisoft have got like cloud rights to stuff.
They do. It's one of the
does
CMA.
That affect this?
Yeah, so this is one of the CMA satiating moves that Microsoft took specifically for the UK market. because the CMA governed just the UK as part of the deal. Sorry, I'm just really quickly on the chat. Big Manny saying I listened to the podcast. It was great. Oh, lovely. And Plugs like I feel like Treyarch might be able to pull it off. Cold War was the last good one. Yeah, I agree. I think Treyarch are a really talented team. So if they're gonna make a good Call of Duty game, I think it's very likely to come from them. I think some of the others from Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer have been quite divisive. Anything by Raven and Treyarch, if either of those two are involved, I think you're in a pretty good place with that. But yeah, just circling back then, this idea that the game, and I've completely forgot my point.
We were talking about cloud. Well, I wondered if it might
the
get
CMA.
cloud releases on other platforms.
So the CMA, I think, yes, you're right. It very much was part of the stipulations of them approving the newer version of the Activision buyout, which was that Ubisoft were able to retain the rights to that. That therefore then had to be then available in multiple places. It couldn't just be Ubisoft and couldn't just be Xbox. So I do think we're going to see that. That could potentially open the door to it being a current gen Switch release this Christmas, because they would then be the ones providing that because they have the rights to it. Good reference to both Raven making Wolfenstein in 2009 and Singularity.
That's a great Wolfenstein game as well.
Great. Yeah. And Singularity, that sort of AA great new IP that we don't get as much of as now, which I really miss. It's another great game.
If they can get it on Switch and it'll be on PS4, PS5, Game Pass across Xbox One, Series, consoles, PC. Like you would think the numbers are going to be insane.
Yeah.
And that could be what they're banking on. You've said in the past, the microtransactions. If they can boost the total player count by enough to make up for the lost revenue, because they're going to lose a hell of a lot of retail revenue for it being on Game Pass. But the sheer volume of people that will be playing it on Game Pass may make up for that. I mean, I'll play it. I haven't played a Call of Duty for a long time. Certainly not other than Warzone, not in competitive multiplayer. And I'll try it. And if Call of Duty has that ability to get people drawn in, and you just keep playing it. So
for sure, and that is the promise of Game Pass, isn't it? It's the lower barrier of entry. You're then more likely to spend money on microtransactions, which then services the game. You then keep your subscription because you want access to it for longer. It's encouraging new people in, and it's retaining people, and it's also encouraging that secondary spend. It's all three pillars of a subscription service model, which is attracting new subscribers, retaining the ones you've got, and getting them spending more money in game. That's precisely what they're banking on. Plus, also with it being on Switch, I can't remember the last time a Call of Duty game was on a Nintendo console. I think it might have been the Wii U that we last saw Call of Duty.
Well, and it was always a shit version that was made for the console. Which
so just on that alone, we've seen third-party games do very well on Switch with native ports. Titles that have long since, this is a new game. These are this sort of, we've seen huge success with titles that are much older than this, and still find an audience on a Nintendo platform because they've made hardware that at the very least supports it, and thankfully also they're willing to leverage cloud games as well.
And Nintendo, what have they got coming in November? I don't think
I don't know,
much
do we
at the
really?
moment.
We're kind of
end of the life cycle.
Yeah, we're anticipating probably a couple more ports. We've had Paper Mario this month. We've got Luigi's Mansion coming out in June. I'm very excited for that, by the way. I can't wait for that. But yeah, exactly. Metroid Prime 4, it's got to be a launch title, or at least a next-gen game for them now. That's not coming to Switch. If it's cross-gen, I'll be very surprised. So you're right, it's wide open, and what a great chance for them to leverage a bigger player base who are more than willing to secondary spend on that console as well. And I imagine it will be cross-play as well. If they've got that in place.
Hope so, yeah. I
don't know whether they'll do something that I know that the 2K NBA games have done, where it's cross-play within the generation. So like PS4 and Xbox One can play together, and I imagine Switch as well, but then PS5, Series X, PC is its own cross-play segmented audience.
Yeah,
but,
maybe.
There's a few different things, some nuance in there that we don't quite have clarity on yet, but I think I'll be very interested to watch the logos at the end of the reveal trailer. Because if we see it very blatantly Switch, which would be current gen, or if we see the next Nintendo platform. I've seen that historically before, companies that are ready to. Nintendo have acknowledged they've got another platform coming, much like they've done now. They've said that it's going to be announced within the fiscal year. But I've seen third parties sometimes who are ready to announce, but they can't reveal the console yet. Just put on the next Nintendo hardware or platform or whatever.
Yeah. I don't think they'll even show anything other than Xbox logos, other than after the showcase. I think they'll it will turn up in other people's stuff.
Or that's not the trailer that's uploaded separately. That's not the VOD from the showcase. Will have the complete branding and platforms. Yeah, I agree.
And I hope that Activision, and Microsoft actually share some metrics, because Activision before would always have been happy to say this is the most popular Call of Duty ever, the revenue's higher than ever.
Yeah.
I hope Microsoft don't hide that. I feel like the reason they've been reluctant to share stuff like that is because they've been last and doing badly in most metrics. So if they have some good news, hopefully they'll share it for a change.
I think I agree. I think they have historically hid things because they haven't often been in the lead or showing meaningful growth. The thing that the glass half full take on all of this is I just straight up don't think they'd be adding Call of Duty to Game Pass if they didn't have some market research, some data that backs up that decision, that proves that this will move the needle in a positive way. And I don't think they'd be willing to do it at all. I think people get so caught up console warring that they forget that Microsoft funded $70 billion to purchase Activision. You don't do that for a dying platform. You don't do that for a publisher that's planning to go third party in 12 months' time. So that's more of the glass half full take on it. We know they can change their mind. We know that they can backtrack. We've seen that time and again. But and I can very much ignore Sarah Bond's hyperbolic, the most incredible generational leap is coming from our new hardware. No, it's not. But, they are planning on making hardware. They're investing in Game Pass. They're buying studios. It doesn't excuse any of their terrible messaging or incredibly stupid decision making that we've seen time and again. But I don't think this is some I don't believe this is like a if this doesn't work, we're done moment. I think that's very the most hyperbolic and console warrior you could possibly be. But I do think it would force them to revisit their strategy if we didn't see meaningful growth and record-breaking numbers because of everything they've basically set themselves up for with this. You'd think it would be successful.
Yeah, totally. I think it was probably touch and go, the decision, though, because it leaked. It's gone back and forth. It leaked that it wasn't going to be on Game Pass. People were quite sure of that for a while. And given that the leakers have generally been correct, like when the actual news is broken, it wouldn't surprise me if Microsoft have gone back and forth on it a bit. And also, this feels like it's been rushed out ahead of the showcase.
Oh, the announcement itself, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if like with Tango, I think 2 months before they shut Tango, Phil Spencer didn't know they were going to do it. I think it was a snap decision that they made, and I think this is potentially less. Like you say, they're going to have had some market research behind it, but I would be surprised if they were sure about this like a few months ago. I think they've
if
just
there's anything to take from
on
those leaks about it not coming to Game Pass, it would be perhaps this notion that they really were on the fence. And as much as the decision they made ultimately was to include it, I wonder if the reaction to the leak about it potentially not coming partially motivated the decision to go the other way.
Maybe, yeah.
It's all,
they
it's
don't
all
seem
to
listen. Yeah. Yeah. It's a shame they didn't leak Tango closing, and we could have gotten to change their minds about that.
Try and change their minds, yeah, absolutely. Big Manny just jumping into chat saying, I'd love a new Donkey Kong Country or Punch-Out. Yeah, I'd love another Donkey Kong game. That's a great reference. But as you've acknowledged as well, probably be on Switch too. Yes, you're absolutely right. So in terms of wrapping up our podcast segment for tonight's episode of System Link, I want to give another indie shout out to a game that I caught recently on Kickstarter, Macabre, which was funded completely within 36 hours of it going live. So they've got now just under a month's worth of funding still to go.
Funded by you?
Absolutely, yeah, funded by me. Exclusive, put the disclaimer down here just to say funded by the T. So this idea that they have seen, a phenomenal response to their pitch, and now can focus entirely on stretch goals and building their community and getting the additional followers and more wish lists on Steam, because that game is going to get made. That thing is now a proven entity. Just for anyone that doesn't know what the hell I'm talking about, Macabre is a 4-player co-op horror extraction shooter. So just I had to, that was not on a prompt. I had to make sure I had that straight in my own head. So it is a 4-player cooperative horror game, first person. You are in randomized levels with procedural elements and are required to extract certain resources. You're trying to escape this never-ending loop of being trapped in this sort of this alternate world. A bit sort of Sliders-esque. You kind of go into multiple variations of the same map. That's kind of the premise behind it. And you're being hunted by the Macabre, which is this systemic AI creature that can shapeshift, that will be sort of in a very Left 4 Dead style AI director, will be reactive to your choices. Weaponry doesn't appear to be sort of, when I say shooter, it's not a traditional shooter in that sense. You're using equipment to defend yourselves. You're not sort of just walking around with a machine gun, so they're shooting for a different experience, a slightly more tense take rather than it being run and gun. And as I say, has absolutely smashed its Kickstarter goal and is ready to go into full development. So I picked this out just because I'm always on the hunt for co-op games. I'm always kind of keeping my eye on anything like this. And just seeing the way that crawled through the snow. No, thank you. I think this has enormous potential, particularly if you are playing with friends and you are coordinating together. I don't know quite how it works in terms of scaling. Does it add AI bots? Are you able to just go in as a pair? But I just think conceptually, I think this is going to be absolutely brilliant. And it's just great to hear of another indie success. I was very deflated after seeing that Moon Samurai, one of my previous indie shoutouts, did not meet its Kickstarter goal. They got about 3/4 of the way there, and they didn't quite hit their funding target. The developers realized, though, that they've got something there. They've got something worth pushing for again. And they had 860 people that backed it. So again, it shows that there was interest. They just didn't quite get to the level they wanted to. So that game hopefully will be coming back later this year. They talked about offering a physical release because people have talked about wanting physical as a reward for backing the Kickstarter. So that was something I was a bit sort of deflated about. Something I was very excited to see come to Kickstarter. But now the flip of this is Macabre, is this new horror title, which has very much blown up, and I'm very excited to see it. Do you have any initial thoughts on this, just based on the footage that we've got playing here and anything you've sort of seen and heard about the game?
I mean, it looks great. It looks really polished. When did the Kickstarter finish?
So the Kickstarter launched 2 days ago. It's literally, we are coming in hot with this thing. So it was funded within that 48-hour period, and it's got another 30 days to go.
It helps so much when they have videos like this that they can put out for it, as opposed to just, this is the concept, we haven't even built anything. It makes such a big difference. It looks great, really polished. I can see why you like the look of it. We definitely play a lot of this. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing more.
Definitely. I think also just very, very streamable, I think, as well. I think it's something that will be really interesting to share, especially when you've got something really tense. I mean, I'm very reactive to horror games. I love a jump scare. I don't get scared by gore. In fact, normally in films and stuff like that, I become very disengaged with it because it just looks so fake. But classic sort of Dead Space, Resident Evil style
using
jump
the scanner.
scares. Yeah, with Alien Isolation, where you see the blips on the radar. I really get into that stuff. I really enjoy it. My wife really enjoys also seeing me shit myself playing these games. That's why she likes playing them with me so often. So yeah, I think there's huge potential here for this to be a really fun cooperative experience. I haven't actually, joked about my disclaimer. I am, after payday, planning to actually back the game. I haven't actually put my dollars to it yet. So
that was a lie.
This is So what? Not only had you forced me to issue the disclaimer, but now I'm having to issue a truthful disclaimer about my actual plans for the finance of it. So just covering all bases, baby. I'll
check in with you next week on that.
Please do. Yeah, I'll have my invoice just printed, ready to go.
What platforms?
It's coming to PC and consoles, so we're going to get a full
Nice.
wide release on that, which is really, really cool. I think a lot of these games tend to find their home exclusively on PC and can often sort of gatekeep a little bit. Not in a sort of trying to exclude consoles, but just because it's an easier thing to develop for. It becomes
that's what I was worried about.
It becomes an issue of scale. Especially when they're a very small team. I think of devs. There's sort of between 10 and 15 people working on this thing, so it's a very, very small team. By compared to the visual polish that we've already seen, certainly. So yes, but they have confirmed it will be getting a PC and console release, which is really, really cool to see. So hopefully that'll be something we can follow up on later this year. There's no sort of release window yet that I've seen, because again, it's very early days in terms of their campaign. We'll be following up hopefully on that. It'd be quite nice actually, like I kind of did a bit with Moon Samurai, but be quite interesting, I think, for us in future episodes, kind of just discussing plans live, but to do sort of check-ins on some of the stuff we previously shouted out, whether it's something perhaps doesn't have to necessarily be a Kickstarter game, it could just be an indie game that we've seen has then come out and then we're reviewing it, or then playing it on the stream after it launches. I think or checking in on a Kickstarter like that to see how it played out could be something quite interesting for us to look at in future episodes.
Yeah, well, we looked at 33 Samurais before, and we're about to play it. So lovely to be able to see that arc actually happen on the show. So
and have it be recorded as well for posterity, which is just all kinds of jolly. Thanks everyone so much for tuning in to the first part of our System Link podcast this evening. As always, you can check out everything we do at Burly Bird Media. We are at Burly Bird Media on all of the things: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as well. You can find Mike Hazelton over at the Xbox Guide at _Xbox_Guide. Are you ready to talk publicly about your intended release of the website, or is that still going to be kept as an exclusive, like as if I'm a Patreon subscriber? Is it going to be like an exclusive thing just to me?
I think it will be. I've talked about it enough before. I think it will be hopefully coming in the next few weeks.
Ooh, okay, coming in the next few weeks. That's a scoop for System Link, baby. That's great. Well, stay tuned, folks. We're going to be back very shortly with our streaming segment. We're going to be playing the 33 Immortals beta. It's something that Mike and I are both very excited to check out. I think early impressions of us playing this solo were quite positive, I think, generally speaking. I had a bit of a laggy experience, but that might have been just me and my connection.
Shit internet,
just phoning it in. But I think, for the most part, mechanically, what we both played so far, I think we were feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, I really liked it. I'm looking forward to playing more.
Nice bit of roguelike co-op action. So please stay tuned. We'll be back shortly with our streaming segment playing the 33 Immortals beta. Thank you again so much, everyone, for jumping in to chat this evening. It's always been nice to see you all. And yeah, we'll be back shortly with 33 Immortals. want to do anything awkward.
All 4 of my Xbox controllers have now got stick drift.
Oh, I
Terrible.
appear to now have magically pushed us live. Hello, everyone. We're talking live, baby. Sorry, we'll be back. And we are ready to go. Looks like the game capture's working okay. Chat, just let me know, please, if you can still see and hear us, and the game sound is coming through as well. Looks good on my end, but you never really know until you get that feedback from chat. So we're back now. Mike and I have partied up. We're in 33 Immortals. The open beta is running now till early June. And we're going to just dive in for the first time. Okay, yeah, Davo, sounds all good. Lovely. Right, let me just switch out my view, because I'm not in the right place. There we go. Right. Well, Mongoose, lead the way.
Yeah, so how much have you played of this? Oh, I mean, I've played like 45 minutes maybe.
Yeah, I'm probably around about where you are. I haven't really done anything in terms of any sort of meaningful progress. I've done all the tutorial stuff.
Done a run, have you?
Done the tutorial stuff, and was just starting a run when I had a bit of a lag spike, and it kind of all crumbled apart. So
you're happy with your weapon?
Yeah.
So for the benefit of everyone else, there's this like central hub area where like everyone is. There's like tutorials, and you can upgrade your perks with Dante here, and choose some cosmetics here. And then there's, I think, 4 weapons to choose from initially. Yep. Sword, daggers. I've got like a projectile staff thing, and then there's a bow and arrow. And they all seem pretty cool. I've settled on the staff. I think you're going to use the sword, aren't you? So
yep.
Then you go from this central area into like a run, basically, with 33 other people to I think initially you have to tackle some dungeons together in groups of 6, and then once you've done that, if you do that successfully, then you move on to like the next thing, which is more of a group encounter against like a boss kind of area. So I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. This looks so cool. When they pull the camera back, the art style is just fantastic, isn't it? This is very cool. And definitely, I just saw someone mention, Big Manny mentioned it's giving them Hades vibes. I think you're absolutely right. Well, that's interesting. You have to start the journey for us here. It just said then it's a party leader, so yeah, I'm ready. A nice simple party system as well. We used our join code to get in there together. So
yeah,
interesting to see if this supports like PC, Xbox crossplay. I don't know if that's been confirmed yet, but
I'm not sure. You'd think so if it's got Microsoft's backing to some extent.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. This looks like a different area. Okay, yeah. So left trigger is the map, and you can see on the map there's like those pillar buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the dungeons that will appear at certain points, and then basically once the dungeons appear, we want to get in them and try to beat the dungeon. But you don't want to go in on your own. You want to go in with 6 people ideally.
Interesting.
So my special attack is it slows them down. And health is so important. Like you don't want to waste health on unnecessarily, because it's really hard to get it back.
Really interesting mechanic that you get, like charges, like I have a block ability that is recharged by me hitting enemies.
Yeah.
Really nice feel to that. And the sort of slightly almost stop motion style animation. Very cool.
Yeah, that's very cool, isn't it?
I like this little wiggler. Has been following us both around. He's great.
So you want to collect the I'm not sure if they're souls or you can use them to get health back. So if you come to this thing, if you had enough, you'd be able to use our D-pad left to get some more health.
Yeah.
Or there's obviously other options, but I've just been focused on health, to be honest.
So what's this right trigger, this co-op power thing?
So in the bottom left, you've got this snail. Well, I've got a snail icon because that's my special ability, but you've got like a bar. You've got a shield on yours.
Yeah.
When that fills up, you hold right trigger, and you need 2 other players to stand in the circles, and then you
okay.
can do like a co-op move together.
Nice.
I've not done one. I did the tutorial for that at the end of my session last night, so I've not done it yet. But I've been in some ones.
Ooh. Got to time your dodges, especially with these little critters.
Yeah, it's worrying that we haven't seen any more people on our team. We might want to go and get closer to them because I think we're getting a bit overwhelmed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this, you just want to stay out of the way of everything, or we will get.
Jesus.
Yeah. So just keep moving. Oh fuck.
Cool. So then walk back into.
Okay, so now if you go to the map, there's some chambers that have opened. We're right by one. I don't know if we'd want to go in on our own.
Yeah, do we try and synchronize with some players?
Yeah, I think so. So I just keep running and not engage at the moment. Try and get to those people that are kind of
congregating to the one over here?
of here.
Yeah, I think we're both heading to the same place.
Yeah.
There's a load of them congregating right now. That's a really... I'm really liking the feel of that those have opened up. All the people that are in this shared world area are now congregating on that specific one.
Immune to damage, I'll take that.
Yeah.
So
are we heading down? Should we head south across?
Let's head to this north one. I would.
Okay.
I mean, no one else seems to be going. Oh shit! No one else seems to be going there yet. But
I'm immune to damage, so let's have a word. There's a few now heading towards this gate.
okay.
Kind of want to pillage these guys while we've got this community for a moment.
Yeah.
I also like, you know, I talk about this a lot with us, you know, offline, is I really like feel in games, and the combat feels good in this. When you combine with the dash, you know, it's a really nice, nice touch.
Okay, so there's a few of us now. So I think once we've cleared this, hopefully we'll be going in.
Look at the way that people are congregating.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's great.
Hopefully more will join us.
This is a torture chamber, right? I think I saw this in one of the... Oh yeah, shit. It's now really kicking off in here.
So at the end, there'll be like a big boss of this chamber, and then you basically go to another chamber and try and do that one.
Oh, man!
If you die, you'll be turned into like a spark, and if we go towards each other, we can revive once. Each person can revive once. Oh, I thought I could go through.
Really wishing that I'd like picked up some health before coming in here.
We also could have done with more teammates in here, I think. Oh, those birds are so annoying.
Yeah, I know. This one's on low health. That big boy's down. I've been trapped here. Ooh, if I time my blocks right, I do a really nice parry. That's great.
Oh, cool.
That's
I've not really played with the sword class yet. Oh, I think we've got another guy in now at least.
Yeah. A few more beaming in.
There's a big bird.
Yeah.
Burly bird. Oh.
I called in a burly bird, bit of synergistic brands. God, if I fuck up my block though, it drains my energy. The parry feels really good. Basically, as long as I'm holding block and they hit me, I successfully parry it, basically.
Oh, someone's really doing a power up.
Shit, yeah.
Nice.
Nice. I had to press RB to join. Was that the correct move there?
Yeah.
Nice. I'm at about 3/4 charged on my ability. I'm not sure what it is yet.
Yeah, it's down. I'm quite close to dying. About the same health as you, to be fair.
Burly bird's charging.
What's it doing?
Pretty intense area of effect. Nice.
Nice. That should... Yeah, we've done it. So priority after this will be getting health. So you get this chest here. That one's locked, I think.
Yeah.
And you can equip one of these things.
Yeah, David, this is really interesting. Definitely, for sure. Oh, +5 damage. I will equip that. Thank you very much.
Okay, so yeah, then we need to go and get some health. Cool.
Nice. Yeah, I've only got 35 health.
Ah.
Oh!
Straight back to it.
Yeah.
Very nice. So we should be able to get health from this. Ah, I've not got enough skulls. Why haven't I got any
Neither
skulls?
do I. I've got none.
That's weird.
Do we need to just...
Oh, you get them from...
like breaking stuff, don't
these
you?
big pots, yeah. But when other people get health from it, it gives us a small amount.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I think this question mark down here might be... Oh, here's one.
Yeah. Nice.
Might need some more.
It seems that loot is instanced, isn't it? So, like, I got some skulls there, which is a great way when you've got so many players that are going to be milling around this.
Oh, totally, yeah.
That's a great way of handling that. Yeah, David, that's really interesting. This has been a great proof of concept, I think, tonight, playing this for me. Oh, big collection of enemies here, some weird wasp-looking things.
Oh, loads of skulls.
Oh, yeah, nice.
33, so I'm going to go back up and see if there's still
plenty.
some... or maybe I'll stay with the group, actually. We'll come across another one of those at some point. Oh, I can do it on here. That didn't help much, but it was better than nothing.
Is it the +3?
D-pad left on that one.
What am I spending?
Yeah. It's your bottom right meter.
I don't see it.
Screaming. Yeah, the purple meter in the bottom right that's full of stuff.
Oh, I don't seem to have that. I've got this one at the
I
top.
can see it on your stream.
Oh.
Just the circle that's full of purple.
Oh, in the top right. Yeah.
Bottom right.
Oh, I'm seeing it on my... Oh. What the hell? I'm just being blind, I think. I just couldn't see it. In the bottom right, I've got a symbol that's just nothing.
Maybe you've used it already.
Oh, possibly, yeah.
It's like a circle that fills up with the souls of people or whatever.
Okay.
So there's only one dungeon open now,
Oh.
so we need to basically wait for the next horrible big orange attack, and then...
Yep.
So we probably do need to try to find more health before then.
Preferably. Is it worth us circling back up to the one with the skulls? So we can spend them?
Yeah, they do run out, so I think it might be run out, but we can go.
Got like a chest here. You might have already opened this one. But it got me a buttload of skulls and a key. As well for that, I think that key would open that locked chest in the torture chamber we just did.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
What we got here? Visit Charon in Dark Woods to discover your new cosmetic item. Nice.
Oh shit.
Nice. Yeah, I think I'm gonna head back up. I think towards that
Yeah.
one. Oh, here we go. Here we go. There's one here. Yeah, 25 health.
Excellent. So we boosted each other's health there as well.
Yeah,
So if we stand here, some other people might... Come on. Yeah. Probably as good as we can hope for, I think.
Yeah, nice.
I'm nearly at full health.
Yeah, I'm 95. Pillaging. Nice. Yeah, I really liked in the tutorial when you had the arrow that it like recalled them back to you. That's how you
Yeah.
like, recovered your ammo. It's a really nice mechanic. There's a symbol on the right, far right now. Oh god, no, enemies have dealt with it.
Oh, fuck.
Okay.
I hate these ones.
That's new. That's new.
Oh, come on, give us a break. That's it, surely.
Oh,
Okay. Oh, there's one right here.
let's do it.
I've gone the long way.
I've gone the opposite long way.
Do this.
Sweet.
And there's a max of 6, so we'd also have to make sure we didn't go in without the other person. I don't know what would
Nice.
happen.
Yeah,
Be left out, I guess.
Whoa.
Oh, my snail meter's full. So's your shield.
Yeah, nice.
Maybe we want to wait for the boss of this dungeon, though.
Yeah. Nice. Some more piddlers beaming in.
I was getting dizzy.
I love how risky business the co-op move is because you have to be static and ready to do it.
We can move slightly, but not a great deal.
Oh, mine's just gone down. I didn't realise I could actually place it on the floor. Ah.
I'll try and get in it. Oh, yours is massive.
Nice, there we
it's
go.
tough.
Giving us a shield.
Nice.
Oh, big boy's landed. He's huge.
Okay. I think mine will slow him down, but I don't know how effective it's going to be.
I'm ready. Whoa.
Yeah, I think we did get him.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. His area of effect is huge, this guy.
Yeah.
Big Manny, I'm
Doing much
surprised that
damage
you
to him at the
two
moment.
didn't talk about multiverses. Have neither of you been keeping up with that? So actually, that's a good point. I will put that in the itinerary for next week because I've been playing multiverses since it came out yesterday. And certainly compared to xDefiant, that is going to be the free-to-play game I put some time into.
Oh, yeah?
Really enjoyed it. Yeah, and I played the original release before it then kind of...
I remember, yeah.
Unreal Engine 5 rebooted. It's very smooth now. They've solved a lot of the netcode issues. Feels very responsive. I mean, I always love a good Smash Brothers style game, and I'm really, really digging it. They made some nice additions to it in terms of game modes and stuff as well. It's something I'd like to pitch us, I think, at some point. It could be something we stream together.
Yeah.
This one's nearly down. Nice.
Is that it?
I've got some shards and a big boy still knocking about. He's still got 50% health. Ooh. Yeah, that's what I mean. His area of effect is massive. Oh, shit. Yeah. He's getting faster as well on his lower health. Those swings are coming much quicker. Stunned. Nice.
Hey. Use your shield, use your key on this one. So I think last time I did 2 dungeons and then there was like a boss, a main boss, but
Okay.
we might have another. I think you have, as a 33 of you, you have to do them all. Cool.
I like
I'm
you
doing
can
alright for
stack
health
all
after
the
that.
abilities too. That's really cool.
Ah, sold out of health.
Yeah, I'm in desperate need. It's great to hear. Big Manny saying I've been playing it a bit and really liked it. Yeah, it really ticked for me. Really ticked some boxes. Been really enjoying it so far, and I loved it originally when it first came out. I was so surprised when they kind of just got rid But I understand why they had to do the reboot. Let's get some... Oh, what's that?
Okay, so there's one more. Oh, there's two more open. I guess we should go to the one up here. Oh, what do you fancy? Or south?
Let's go... Oh, taking fire.
So top right, you can see how many people are still left.
Oh, yeah. 10 out of 12 completed so far. That's our main objective, this area.
Yeah, well, looks like there's people in one at the moment, so we only need one more.
So do we go to... It's the execution grounds, one near the bottom.
It depends where everyone else is going. We don't want to start at one unnecessarily, probably.
Yeah, that's true.
There's one top left.
Yeah, there's got a few people on it already. Should we head there?
Yeah.
Gives it a
the screaming is horrible.
Yeah, no, it gives it like a really nice community feel, this game as well. You know, you and I are able to continue coordinating together, making our own choices, but we're aware of other players. And, you know, ordinarily we'd be like closing our party off, I think. And now, way more invested. I think that, you know, working with others.
It's going to be full.
Gonna have a look. I'm just curious how it works, what it says. It's up here. If I played my Tom and Jerry be destructive since I leveled before, yeah, that's a good point. Oh yeah, there you go. So it just closes off, basically.
Yeah.
There's some skulls here. Bone shrine. Oh shit. Okay, those archers are quite swifty. Liking the variation of the enemy types we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's all wrapped up for me here. I've only got 20 skulls left. So Big Manny, they did reset the leveling, but you were then given equivalent character points so you can unlock other stuff for other characters. So whatever you'd earned, basically, from the beta, you could then unlock, say, other characters if you wanted to, or just kind of try and recreate some of your unlocks yourself, which is really cool. They handled that quite nicely. Without it being obviously too unbalanced. It was more about unlocking characters rather than it being something too overpowered. You know, you suddenly having moves that other people didn't have just because you played the beta. They've avoided that, thankfully. I'm pretty good with LeBron James, not to brag. I mean, that is a fantastic thing to say in chat. Just as a sentence alone, that's outstanding. Some skulls here.
A bit overwhelmed at the moment.
Coming to you. Oh, look at these little wigglers. Both the execution grounds torture chamber and the one up here in the north is now full and has got people in, so they're our last two. Do love the stacked abilities. I think it's a really nice. Haven't had to make any choices yet. Oh. Shield back up to 75%, so hopefully that'll be something I can unlock during the boss. Which would be, you know, getting all these enemies boxed off is another way to earn those points, which is handy. Have I got enough to do that? Yeah, I'll do a little health top up. Oh, I can't afford it.
Kill some more.
The execution grounds chamber has been
Nice.
done. Oh shit, that's a bad hit there. Dodge! Ah, I need to block. Oh, I love the block mechanic, it's so nice. Oh, you've still got your shield.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, walking up and blocking them from close range is a really nice way of dealing with that with the sword guy. Ooh. Nice. This is a fiddler now as well. I don't really want to be going into this boss fight with 57 health.
Oh, we've done it on 12 out of 12, so let's go and stick with the group, I think.
Okay.
Oh, fuck. Here we go.
Oh, no. What the hell? 3 rings this time. Jesus Christ.
Keep moving seems to be the
Taking
best
a
tactic.
couple of hits.
Here we go. This is as far as I got. Well, I got to this bit and then died. The Ascension battles.
There's some skulls. A skull station here. Oh, sold out. I've got to try and see if I can chief some health before we go in.
Yeah, I don't know what teleport stone does. Gets you out of dodge, I guess. But we're going to this thing. This horrific.
Oh, it's getting busy in here.
Yeah.
Nice,
Locks you in
special.
after a point.
Oh,
Yeah, here we go. The wall's coming in.
Yeah. Is that what pushes
Pretty
us to
epic, isn't
here?
it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've nearly got my special, not that it's
Yeah, same.
super great.
Oh my god. It's impressive I can actually keep track of what I'm doing here.
Yeah, and the frame rate's holding up. Yeah, nice one, guys.
The co-op abilities are excellent.
I think that we get bigger and bigger enemies as we go, unfortunately. Ah, took a hit.
Yeah, I've only got 28 health. I'm risky business right now.
Whereabouts in the circle are you?
I'm sort of down left side,
Okay, I'll
lower
try and get
left,
to you.
southwest.
Yeah, I see you.
Spider dude in the middle. Ah! Oh, those projectiles. Block. I've got 17 health.
I see you. Oh. We're doing that. Ah!
Nice.
Hey!
Nice.
Ascend. Didn't get this far. Still 21 players left as well, which is pretty good, I
Oh,
think.
sorry, your voice broke up a bit then.
Still 21 players left, which is
Okay.
pretty good.
Ascending. I'm just watching, I'm spectating these two now because they haven't
Yeah.
ascended yet. There you go. I love that ring pushing us all into that area. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
We're gonna fight Cockytus. I am incredibly nervous. Oh shit! Jesus Christ. Lucifer.
I have no idea what to do here, so there we go.
Why?
Ah!
Christ, yeah, I'm gonna be brown bread very, very soon.
Ah, hit him in the blue.
Nice.
Oh shit!
I like seeing all the
Shame you
players.
couldn't get a health.
Yeah,
Shame
no,
you
I
couldn't
know.
get health in between.
That was good. That was good. Oh, shit.
Oh, I see. That's
yeah.
cool.
Definitely actually affecting my movement now as well. Imagine them trying to balance this. This must be so tricky. Trying to make sure that the boss's health isn't so high that it's impossible, but too low that it's done in 5 seconds. You know, that's a real tricky ask.
Ah, no.
Or trying to dodge stuff while it's icy is not as easy as it looks. Whoa, incoming. Pushing in. Oh, shit. But you don't get long. Do not get long to react to that stuff, which is good, I think. That
yeah.
It's pushing you. I'm going it. Oh, moving. Animation on the boss is fantastic. Big Manny, you're right. I would not mess with a guy called Gockitus. If that is the real name. We didn't like that. I made him sad. Whoa. Another icy sequence here. I'm only at 50% on my shield, which I can really do with right about now.
Yeah.
How they've synchronized everything, and they've made it feel sort of like really like epic, without it being just chaos, I think is really genuinely impressive. Oh shit! I took a bad hit then. I'm down to 7 health. Looks like we've only got 19 people left.
Yeah. Lots of enemies now as well.
Yeah, and I'm 2 health. One more hit, and I'm out of there. Ooh. There's area of effect stuff going on here as well. Key shots there. I'll just stay behind you.
I wouldn't.
Oh man, icy big boy's coming in now as well.
Oh fuck.
Oh, that's me done.
Where are you?
I'll die in 30 seconds. I've been captured by this one in the top right. It's a wiggler.
The icy one, or?
No, it's a wiggler in the top right corner. I think I've been rescued. There you go.
Oh no.
I'll see if I can find you. Where are you?
So you only have half health. I'm in the east of the arena.
Yep, all the way to you. Going around to you.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were back.
Nice. There we go. Oh yeah, I see what you mean. You top out at 59 health. That was interesting that I was captured. My soul was captured by one of the enemies.
Pretty cool.
They had to have it knocked out of them for it to. Oh shit!
Oh, fuck.
I don't know where I could have gone then.
Yeah, sometimes you.
Oh shit!
Yeah, here we go. 1 health.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, I'm out.
Where are you?
I'm out. Rebellion has failed. Oh, you've been revived. Nice. So you get a second chance Sunday, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's only 12 of you left.
We've still got so much health.
I know.
You've got no chance, have you?
I like that these should be really difficult, I think. That's
definitely, yeah.
what a great sense of accomplishment if you take down Lucifer as well. It's so cool. I don't know where you're supposed to go to avoid some of those big, you know, the ice spikes through the floor, and it looked like the whole floor could look like glowed red.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where the more we do this, the better we'll get at avoiding that stuff.
Yeah. Nice, good dodge. Ooh, let's get spicy. 10 left. There's one.
We're not going to do it.
Covered. Was there like a button you had to press in order to revive me?
RB.
Okay. Nice. Smooth as butter frame as well, I'm impressed.
I don't know if we're supposed to focus on him or the enemies that he produces.
Well, it's tough, isn't it? Because they'll just keep coming, but then, of course, if you leave them to build up, then it's going to be even tougher to then focus on the boss. So, only 7 remaining. 2 are currently in spirit form. And we're covered now, 9 left. Nice, good dodge. Cool, them adjusting those. You see some of those throws were coming in like.
Yeah.
The circles were moving. Which is tricky.
Nearly down. I kept getting killed by that spike.
Yeah, that. I don't know where you go on that one.
Unless you're just supposed to time your dodge for when it comes in.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Potentially.
Ugh.
So great, though. Great fun. I mean, this is going to be in our rotation for sure.
Yeah.
When this
Glad
comes
to hear
out.
it. Yeah, so then you can go to Dante and choose some perks.
Yeah, nice. It's great. Well, folks, thank you so much for tuning in to the latest episode of System Link. We have got plenty of jolly plans in the days and weeks ahead. Other stuff we're planning to stream. I think 33 Immortals is definitely something we want to come back to. But thanks everyone so much for tuning in. It's been great to see you all in the chat again tonight. It really helps keep these lively and really good fun. As always, Mike, thank you for joining us as well.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure.
My ever loyal co-host. So thank you so much for jumping on. And yeah, we will see you in our next episode on Twitch, which is Burly Bird Live on Mondays. Hopefully this will be the correct screen. I don't trust myself sometimes with this. Hopefully I've got that right. Let's find out when I check the stream. Yeah, there it is. So, yeah, Mondays at 9 PM, we are live here on twitch.tv/burlybirdmedia. Please consider jumping in, checking out. I'll be streaming something. Not quite sure yet what that's going to be, but I'll figure that out soon. Our latest episode of Some Drivel went live earlier this week. That was with Matt Naylor and Sunny Ray from the Soundlings. They're responsible for the Knockout City soundtrack. If you're into music, composing, anything relating to anything creative like that, please consider checking that conversation out. It's available over on YouTube. Thank you, Big Manny. Thank you, Chris, for the positive feedback. It is really always appreciated. Thank you, Davo, as well. Thank you so much for checking it out and sticking with us. It's a 2-hour stream tonight with System Link. So it's all good. Lovely to see your support, and it is very much appreciated. So thanks again, everyone. We will see you in the next episode of System Link and Burly Bird Media, which is available on Mondays. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
See ya.